Pirate's Most Powerful Villain, Chapter 1041-1050. Chapter 1041-Shenlong is alive. Xiaolin smiled. I have already decided to do these things myself. No matter what, I have nothing else to do, I can only do the last thing. This is the best thing to do, as long as Frieza can't express his wishes, it doesn't matter even if he dies. Thinking of this, he rushed directly to the place where Frieza was stationed. He had to hurry up and find a place to hide. Only in this way is the best. At this time, Qinyang had already absorbed all the energy in the box. Then with a smile on his face, he clenched his fists, looked at the other Saiyans, and said, even if it is not achieved, as long as it is if you absorb the mysterious energy of these Saiyans, it will definitely be enough. After he finished speaking, he didn't stop. He now knows that the most important thing for him is time. He must dare to appear in the Dragon Ball world when all the plots develop, so that he can achieve his goals. No matter what, the most important thing now is to first raise your strength to 8 stars, which is the most stable. Madara had already healed her injury. Looking at Qinyang who was still absorbing mysterious energy, she asked, what's wrong, isn't there enough energy in those boxes? I don't know, but it shouldn't be enough to think about it. Otherwise, he will not absorb the mysterious energy of those Saiyans. Itachi said indifferently. What about you? What's your mission? Isn't it to train Vegeta? Madara looked at Itachi, while Itachi shook his head and said, I don't need me anymore. Vegeta has already realized that he should realize that. It doesn't take long to send him out, this kind of thing is still very good. Itachi said indifferently. Then he turned to look at Vegeta in the distance. Now Vegeta's strength is very powerful. No matter what, it is enough to go out against those androids and Frieza. If the two enemies are dealt with, the plot will still go as it was originally. In this case, it is more convenient to find those mysterious energies for people like yourself. Otherwise, if the plot changes, then I don't know where the mysterious energy is. Forget it, it doesn't matter so much, since that's the case, then I just have to continue my cultivation. Anyway, the rest of the things don't care about me. I suddenly found that my own strength is constantly improving, and I am in after so many worlds, it is already different from the strength it used to be. Madara said indifferently. I also feel this point, but it has always been uncertain, and I don't know what is going on, but no matter what is going on, I think it is very good. Anyway, it is like this now, we are ourselves. That's it, Itachi said with a smile. At this time, Qinyang was about to absorb all the energy of the Saiyans. At this time, Sun Wukong had already arrived at Namek. When he landed, he saw 2 patrolling soldiers for the first time. After they saw Sun Wukong, they were stunned for a moment, then came to Sun Wukong and asked, who are you? What are you doing here? Are you Frieza's subordinates? Sun Wukong asked directly. Of course, but it's none of your business. If you don't have anything to do, get out of here. This is not a place you can come. The soldier took out his weapon in disgust, and then turned to Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong nodded, since it was right, he never thought so much. Since these people were all Frieza's subordinates, it would be right to kill them directly. Thinking of this, Sun Wukong shot directly, but it was only 2 punches, which knocked both of them out, and then Sun Wukong continued to move forward. At this time, in the place where Frieza was stationed, Frieza smiled and looked at number 16 in front of him. He didn't know why number 16 would help him, but since the 7 Dragon Balls are already after gathering, of course, the Shenlong will be summoned. So there was a smile on his face, all 7 Dragon Balls were thrown together, and then he looked at Sabo. Sabo smiled and said, the spell to summon the dragon is to come out, Shenlong. After Sabo finished speaking, Frieza just smiled, opened both hands, and then said loudly, come out, Shenlong. After finishing speaking, sure enough, the sky began to change, and the dark clouds were pressing down. The sky that was originally a clear sky suddenly turned into such a scene as if it was going to rain heavily. And in the cloud surge, there are countless thunder and lightning, and a dragon appears. He is hundreds of times more than the dragon on the earth, and his majesty is even stronger. Frieza laughed when he saw it, and said loudly, I finally summoned the dragon, I just don't know what to say. Just wait and make a wish. Number 16 said indifferently. At this time, Shaolin, who was on the side, was already hiding, and then he was waiting for the last moment to appear. His heart was beating very fast, and then he took a deep breath and said to himself, don't be nervous, the simpler the better. I want an apple. Kobayashi nodded and continued to observe the situation over there in secret. Shenlong has already been summoned. Shenlong looked at the person below, and then asked, you summoned me, do you want to fulfill any wish? Frieza haha isho, and then, I hope. Before he could finish speaking, he saw that Shaolin was already rushing out, so he frowned and stretched out a finger, directly shooting through Shaolin's heart, and in this gap, Captain Ginyu had already left. He came up and said, I want me to be the most powerful person in the world. As soon as he finished speaking, Frieza was shocked. Looking at Captain Ginyu, he could never have imagined that the dragon he summoned was finally given a wish by his subordinates, and he wanted Ginyu to captain to kill. No problem. After Shenlong finished speaking, his eyes glowed, and then his body turned golden yellow, and finally turned into 7 dawns, which were scattered directly. Number 16 looked at the situation here with a look of interest, and then he didn't know what was going on. What was going on? It was obviously Frieza who made the wish, so why was it the key in the end? Captain Nu did this. Chapter 1042-Sun Wukong arrives. Frieza's face was gloomy, and then he said loudly, you bastard, I'm going to kill you. After he finished speaking, he came directly in front of Captain Ginyu and landed a punch on him. Captain Ginyu was still begging for mercy at first, but when he saw that Frieza's fist was so powerless, immediately, he thought that his strength was now the strongest, so he stretched out his hand, flicked his finger, and sent Frieza flying. Ha ha ha, my strength is really the strongest, it seems that there is nothing wrong with this, I still have to do what I want to do the most. I am your boss now, do you have any opinion? Captain Ginyu turned to look at Sabo and Dodoria, who of course smiled and said, of course we are willing. After all, it doesn't matter who you do things under, and now the strength of Captain Ginyu is indeed stronger than Frieza, let alone them, even Frieza will never say anything. Frieza flew back from a distance and was already injured. When he saw Captain Ginyu, he said with hatred, you bastard, I will not let you go. Well, since you want them if it is regarded as a subordinate, then I have nothing to say, you just continue, I have to do my own thing, and it is definitely impossible for me to be your subordinate. Quote. After Frieza finished speaking, he looked like he was going to leave, but Captain Ginyu shook his head and said, I'm sorry, I didn't say you could leave. Captain Ginyu said with a smile. What's the matter, you want to play against me when you are young? Frieza said angrily, don't think that you can easily play against me because of your increased strength. I tell you, if you really fight, I won't make you feel better if I die. Captain Ginyu thought for a while, and then said, of course I know this, but you also know that I have just become the most powerful person, and I still haven't adapted to it, and there are still many people who want to looking for you, so you're not going to kill them. As soon as Captain Ginyu finished speaking, he saw a person appearing in front of him. Sun Wukong finally came, and at this time Slug also appeared beside Sun Wukong, and then looked at number 16 angrily. Because what he knew was that number 16 was the one who took away their last Dragon Ball. This kind of person is really a bastard. Obviously, there is no need to strengthen these bad guys again, but now it has turned into this result. And Sun Wukong frowned when he saw Shaolin's body, then looked at Frieza very angrily, and then said loudly, Frieza, you bastard actually killed my partner, I must do it. Kill you. After he finished speaking, he rushed directly to Frieza, and Frieza didn't think that anyone who came here would actually want to take action against him, which was simply daring. He sneered at Isho and said, hey, although I didn't improve my strength in the end, you slaves are actually trying to shake my status, it's just a nonsense. After speaking, he rushed out directly, while Slug rushed directly to number 16, but soon, the people on both sides started fighting. Piccolo also appeared on Namek. He finally came back, but after hearing about such a thing, he was very sad and angry. After all, their planet has always been very peaceful. Why does this happen? It just makes people feel very angry. He rushed up directly and blocked Sabo, and the other Dodoria was blocked by Tianjin Fan, so Sun Wukong rushed directly in front of Frieza and became one with Frieza, but it was in an instant, Sun Wukong was knocked to the ground by Frieza. Ha ha ha, with your strength, you still want to kill me, you are really talking big without blinking your eyes. Frieza wanted to laugh very much, and then a smile on his face, no matter how much well, that's how it is now, and so is everything else. Open it for me. Sun Wukong directly showed his first form of Super Saiyan, and then with a serious face, he said, if you said you want to kill you, you will wait for me to die. Bar. Ellipsis. Ellipsis. Winds Extreme, Dream of Love, 773,943,984. The Extreme Wind, Wanhua Mirror, 874,542,149. Closing square bracket ellipsis ellipsis. Ellipsis. After he finished speaking, he knocked Frieza into the air with a punch, and smashed through an unknown number of mountains. This was the stop, and then there was a look of anger on his face. His overlord turned out to be a man of his own slave race. It was a shame to be injured, and he would never accept such a thing. He stood up, screamed frantically, and then rushed straight up, and fought with Sun Wukong again. The two fought against each other, and the sky was falling apart. Everyone was shocked, but Captain Ginyu looked at Piccolo and Tianjin Fan. Seeing that they were fighting hard with his subordinates, Yi Hong didn't plan to go up. Anyway, he knew that he was already part of this world. The most powerful person inside, of course, no one is his opponent. Even if all his subordinates are killed, it doesn't matter, because he is invincible. He found a place casually, and then sat down to eat and drink with a smile on his face. After all, this kind of thing is still very ornamental, so it's not bad to look at it this way. But for some reason, his brows were always beating, giving him a bad premonition, but he looked around. It seemed that there was no danger, so he was relieved. No matter what, this is the case now. There is no need to say anything about other things, not at all. It's just that even Piccolo and Tianjin Fan are still constantly fighting against Sabo Doria. The Battle of the Four is nothing compared to that of Sun Wukong, but Tianjin Fan and the others also tried their best to kill each other. But because the strength of the four people is similar, there is no way to decide the winner or loser in time, so I don't know what to do. They can't even try to help. But they still believe in Sun Wukong. After all, they all know that Sun Wukong's strength is very powerful, even if the opponent is very powerful, there is no problem. This is their confidence in Sun Wukong. Chapter 1043_Best Teaching. What kind of thing are you? You dare to come and fight with me, don't you know that you don't know what you are? He has already become the second form, and his strength is certainly not comparable to the first form. Sun Wukong rushed out of the ruins, then looked directly at Frieza, and then said, no matter what, I will let you know that our Earth is definitely not something you can touch, so you take good care of yourself, and I will definitely make you regret it. After Sun Wukong finished speaking, he directly started to shoot at Frieza. The first thing he came up with was the Vitality Bomb. At this time, Sun Wukong didn't want to entangle with Frieza so much. He knew that the more entanglement, the more he could defeat fully. Sa's chances are smaller, because Frieza's subordinates he knows are very powerful. And there is also a Captain Ginyu watching. That Captain Ginyu must be very powerful, because he has the blessing of Shenlong, and he has become the most powerful person in this world. Shenlong can do it. This means that if they are not invincible, they are not invincible, so it is time to get Frieza quickly. Then go on to shoot against Captain Ginyu. Anyway, even if Captain Ginyu said that he was very powerful, he knew that he was going to fight against Captain Ginyu, because it was his responsibility and he wanted to. What he has to do, he will never let these people destroy the Earth. Moreover, these people also killed their own companions. This kind of thing is absolutely unforgivable. He directly accelerated his attack speed. Over the past few days, his training has been very successful. At least these things are still very good now. He will not fight directly with brute force. This is the best teaching of the ghost. Sun Wukong and Frieza scuffled together, and on the other side, number 16 had already defeated Slug, looking at the situation here, showing a smile. Monkey King, do you know how many people want to kill you now? Number 16 said with a smile. But of course no one answered him about this kind of thing, because everyone is fighting at this time, and he was the first to end the battle. At this time, he looked at Slug, and then slowly walked forward, approaching Sun Wukong. He would not say anything about a fair fight. Now the most important thing is to kill Sun Wukong. This is the most important thing. Everything else can be dragged behind. But no matter what happened, Sun Wukong had already found out that number 16 saw number 16 coming up, and he frowned. In this way, his strength would be restrained. It seems that I still have to like a way to block this android. Sun Wukong thought of this, but there was no other way. His partners were all fighting, and the situation was not optimistic. Number 16 showed a smile. He knew that as long as he shot himself, Sun Wukong would definitely die. At this time, Slug, who was lying on the ground, was communicating with the shadow. He was very unwilling. After all, this kind of thing is not so easy to give up, and the most important thing is that he wants to fight for this planet. So he shouted in his heart, Black Shadow, whether I can improve my strength, whether I can improve my strength in the end, no matter what method, I am willing to accept it. Of course I have this kind of thing, but there is one thing I want to tell you, that is, if you really want to solve this kind of thing, then other things are much simpler. It's yours. Life will be directly overdrawn, and will die directly after the battle. The shadow said with a sigh. It doesn't matter, I'm like this anyway. My life has no other meaning besides these, and you know, the current situation of our planet, if we continue to let them fight in this place, then the mica will be it's really over. Slug said directly through gritted teeth. Okay, I know, since that's the case, you need to endure a kind of pain. After the pain, your life can only be maintained until the end of the battle, and your strength will increase. As for how much, I don't know. One thing I can't guarantee is that even if you use your own life as a source of great strength, you may not be able to defeat the number 16 android, because you know, this person's strength is very powerful. Quote. Sombra said directly, and Slug had no other choice at this time. He said, it's better to donate my life to this planet than to die so uselessly, because I like my planet. I love this place where I was born and raised. Quote. After Slug finished speaking, he kept his mouth tightly closed, and the shadow already knew, he had already made a decision, so no matter what it was already a decision. As long as it was a decision at this time, it would be like this. His expression was so resolute, even when he knew that he was going to die. Heiying also sighed in his heart and said, well, since that's the case, let go of all your defenses, and also, release the most powerful imprisonment in your mind. Go ahead, so that I can make you a very powerful person. After Sombra finished speaking, Slug did it directly according to Sombra's words, but after a while, Sombra felt the condition of Slug's body, so he looked serious, and then directly penetrated into the history of Sombra. In Shrag's mind, Shrag's body was quickly occupied. The shadow opened his eyes, and then he was able to see the world very clearly, and he stretched out his hand in front of him. It is a real hand, not just a shadow. After so many years, it is finally free and does not need to be attached to Slug's body. And he also took Slug's body as his own. This kind of thing is really very good. Even if he abandons the only thing he treasures, it doesn't matter. At least he is already a coming out of that curse. That person can no longer do anything to himself. Ha ha ha, it's finally out, it's finally out. Slug laughed. Chapter 1044-Take Home. In fact, he is already a shadow, because after Slug's body is occupied by the shadow, his soul has been killed. Slug himself did not expect that this kind of thing would turn out to be such a change, and it eventually turned into this. He didn't think of it himself. The shadow who has been helping himself has always been waiting for such an opportunity, and such an opportunity will always make him wait. It seems that I still have to leave this place earlier. After all, no matter what I say, I still have a chance. After waiting for so long, I finally got it. As long as I continue to follow my original plan, I will definitely be able to continue to cross over there. It must be possible. He smiled, then looked at the surrounding situation, and began to escape into the distance. Of course he didn't want to participate in this battle at this time. After all, he didn't have that much strength in this battle, so that's what it is now. He started to walk outside. He knew that there must be a spaceship that left this planet outside, and as long as you get on the spaceship, everything else is much simpler. Number 16 is getting closer and closer to Sun Wukong. With a smile on his face, he knows that as long as he continues like this, he will be able to kill Sun Wukong. And his task is nothing more than this, so no matter what it is so simple now. After completing his task, he can do his own thing, for example, destroy the world. With a smile on his face, he was already behind Sun Wukong. At this time, Sun Wukong and Frieza were standing opposite each other, and there was no time to defend against number 16's attack. Hey, die for me! Number 16 shouted loudly, and then sent out his own attack, and a very large shell flew directly over. Sun Wukong was anxious in his heart, but he actually had nothing to do. He was very anxious in his heart, but he couldn't do anything at this time. He was also helpless in his heart, and sighed, knowing that this time might be very bad. It's tough. Boom. I said, if I treat my students like this, I will be unhappy. A voice appeared directly, and Sun Wukong suddenly smiled when he heard it. You're here, it turns out that you really exist in this world. Sun Wukong said with a look of surprise. If I'm just the person in your dream, how can you become so powerful under my guidance? The ghost looked indifferent, then waved his hand and completely spread out the dust on his body, and then looked at number 16 with a smile on his face. And number 16 didn't think of such a thing. Sun Wukong still has a helper, and he seems to have never seen this helper before. The most important thing is that the ghost shadow feels very dangerous to him, and he doesn't know what to say, but that's how it is now. He knew that even so, he still wanted to kill Sun Wukong. This was his mission, so he smiled and said, "Friend, if there is nothing to do, please get out of the way, I don't want to be with you." You fought. Is that so? But I want to fight with you, but I want to see how powerful Madara's thing is. Miyage joked. And when he said Madara's name, number 16 was shocked, because this kind of thing should be very secret. Everyone knows that he was made by Dr. Grow, but in fact in the transformation, Madara is his master. His original strength is not that powerful at all, but after the transformation, his strength has been improved. And the improvement is not a little bit, and it is very powerful. He looked at the ghost and asked, "How did you know that? No one should know about Madara." You don't want to ask, what is my relationship with him, but it doesn't matter anymore. Anyway, now I can do what I want to do, even if I do some excessive things, there is no problem. Disdain, and then looked at the 16th. Number 16 gritted his teeth, and then said loudly, "Since this is the case, you will die for me too." After speaking, many tracking missiles flew out of him, and then Shang Moying, but just like that, it's useless at all. The ghost waved his hand at will, just put all these things into the unknown place, as if it didn't exist at all. Sun Wukong is my student anyway, and I won't let you hinder their battle. Mo Ying smiled, and then his expression suddenly became serious. He threw a punch directly, then smashed number 16 into the air, and then said to Sun Wukong, "You can handle your own battle yourself, I won't care about you, but this person, I will help you block. As for what to do, we'll talk about it after your battle is over." Sun Wukong said very gratefully, "I know, I will definitely not let you down." Sun Wukong directly looked at the ghost with a smile on his face, and then continued to fight against Frieza. After Captain Ginyu saw the ghost, he suddenly showed a curious expression. After all, he never knew that such a thing would happen. Sun Wukong actually has a helper, and this helper is still unknown to him. He walked forward with a smile, but he wanted to meet the ghost for a while. After all, he is also the most powerful person in this world. Of course he won't be afraid of these people, because he feels that Shenlong has made his strength unstoppable. And the person who suddenly appeared now seems to have made some changes in their situation, so it is a smile on his face, and he doesn't care that much. I didn't expect Sun Wukong to have helpers. Since that's the case, I would like to see how powerful you are. Captain Ginyu said directly with a smile. You are the lucky one, the one who took Frieza's chance. If that's the case, then your strength should be very powerful, but when you make a wish, you only wish to become the most powerful person in this world. But have you ever thought about what you would do if you faced the powerhouses in other worlds? The ghost said directly with a smile. Captain Ginyu didn't know what the ghost was talking about. Chapter 1045 _ the most powerful man in the world. After all, what he knows now is a very powerful thing, that is, he is the most powerful, in this world, and other worlds, he really doesn't know what other worlds there are. After all, he is not a traveler, of course he will not know. In fact, there are many powerful opponents in other worlds. Who knows what happened, but now Captain Ginyu is very confident in his own strength, so he said with a smile, since this is the case, then I can also kill you, so there is no need to think about it. What, I will let you die too. After Captain Ginyu finished speaking, he shot directly. He wanted to test the strength of this ghost. If it is very strong, then it is fixed. He needs to know what his strength is. To such an extent. But at this time, the ghost also shot. The two fought together in the blink of an eye, and it was still very fierce, at least the surrounding battles were affected. The strength of the ghost is very powerful. Between his punches and kicks, there is room for fluctuations. This kind of attack has already turned this space into a situation that is prone to instability. Then come on. Of course, Captain Ginyu would not be too fragile, so he just stretched out his finger and clicked, and the time stop was about to activate. But at this time, the ghost's body actually disappeared, and it still appeared behind him. He frowned. He didn't expect that after his strength was improved, people would still let people escape his time stop. He still hadn't thought about it. But since this is the case, he doesn't know what to say. No matter what, at least he must continue to fight well. He really wanted to know how powerful he was. After all, he didn't fight Frieza just now, and he knew that if he really wanted to fight Frieza, he would definitely be able to fight Frieza. To defeat. So now he has to test where his limits are. Anyway, no matter what, he will take care of this kind of thing. Other things don't need to be said. He turned his head and punched out, and the shadow was dodged. The shadow was shattered by Captain Ginyu, but in fact it had no effect on the shadow at all. Maying looked indifferent, seeing that Captain Ginyu was completely driven by himself. He immediately shook his head and said, "Is this the most powerful force in your world? If so, I think yes, you have nothing to worry about in this world." After the ghost finished speaking, the strength of the whole body was gathered, and then with a smile on his face, he punched out and smashed Captain Ginyu into the air. Almost running through the entire planet, they saw a big hole with no visible bottom appearing in front of everyone. At this time, those people didn't fight much, just guarding against the other party's sudden attack. They wanted to see the devil. Shadow and Captain Ginyu fought, and now I found out that the strength of these two people is very powerful. They didn't know what to say either. They opened their mouths and looked at the shadow. They didn't expect the shadow to be so powerful. That is to say, if they really wanted to destroy this planet, it would be completely wrong. There is no problem, because the magic shadow already has this kind of strength. What's wrong? He's dead. Dodoria asked curiously, while Sabo shook his head, and then said, I don't know, but since Shenlong said he was the most powerful person in our world, Naturally, it will not be so simple and it will be finished, we must believe him. Quote. After Sabo finished speaking, a person rushed out of the big hole, then looked at the situation here angrily, and then stared at the ghost. He never thought that the magic shadow was so powerful, and he still injured him. Sometimes he thought that the dragon was deceiving himself. After all, he was already the most powerful person in the world. How could it still be injured? But after thinking about it later, he felt that there must be such a thing, but he would never be defeated, so he smiled, wiped the blood from his face, and then said to the ghost, "You are very good, but you still forget what Shenlong said, I am the most powerful person in the world, so it is impossible for you to defeat me. I've said it all, you are the most powerful person in this world, but you are not the most powerful person in other worlds. If I am a person from other worlds, it is useless for this kind of dragon to fulfill its wishes, and you still don't know one thing, your world is not just powerful." After the ghost finished speaking, he didn't care about that much anymore. He looked down at Captain Ginyu, and then said angrily, "No matter what, you will suffer today, because I won't let you destroy Sun Wukong and Sun Wukong. Freeze's battle, and you should be dying, how could you continue to be in this place?" After the phantom finished speaking, he gathered his strength again and rushed in front of Captain Ginyu, but at this time, Captain Ginyu smiled and said, "Maybe you really made a mistake. The time prohibition has already been activated. If you can still activate it at this time, then I will be considered a loser." Quote. After finishing speaking, sure enough, the ghost stopped at a distance of 1 or 2 meters away from him. Captain Ginyu, haha Isho, gathered his strength, and then punched the ghost's heart directly. Then the ghost was knocked out. I don't know what to say, anyway, that's how it is now, and other things are much simpler. Ha ha ha, you're finished, no matter what it is now, that's how it is now, other things are much simpler, anyway, no matter what it is, you're going to be finished, sure enough, I'm the strongest people. Captain Ginyu laughed wildly. At this time, the shadow's chest is sunken, and it is absolutely impossible to survive, unless he has the ability to regenerate. But at this time, the ghost actually got up from the ground, and then looked at Captain Ginyu stubbornly. It's not dead, my god, what kind of monster is he? Sabo was shocked when he saw this, and so was Dodoria next to him. Chapter 1046-Phantom loses. He shook his head and said, "Impossible, the heart is destroyed, even if other organs are intact, he will die, unless he is the kind of race that can heal itself, but he is definitely not, he who is it." Both of them were horrified, completely ignorant of how the ghost did it, but even so, they were very shocked. "Well, since that's the case, then I'll kill you completely, destroy your body, and see how you recover," Captain Ginyu said with narrowed eyes. At this time, the ghost had a smile on his face and said, "I almost died, but unfortunately, you still almost died, so this time, it's time for you to die. I also want to give it a try. If your heart is pierced, can you be resurrected again?" After he finished speaking, he rushed directly to Captain Ginyu, but Captain Ginyu was already ready, waiting for the ghost to come. But no matter what it was, he didn't know it. This kind of thing is simply shocking. Captain Ginyu's time stopped, but after he punched a punch, he found out that this was a ghost, and the phantom had already come behind him, with one hand inserted, facing his heart, and then a smile on his face. He knew this. Anyway, it was almost the same, and this Captain Ginyu could definitely be killed, but at this time, Captain Ginyu turned out to be turned around, and at the same time, a punch fell on the ghost's body. The two of them fell to the ground one after another, as if a meteorite fell on the planet. They directly settled this kind of thing for you, but who knows what to say. The phantom stood up from the ground, wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth, and then looked at Captain Ginyu. At this time, Captain Ginyu was already shocked, and he was very puzzled as to why this person could achieve this against himself. You are the most powerful person in the world. But even so, there is no way to kill this person easily. Don't say it was an easy kill, but now it's a draw, I really don't know what to say. He thought about it for a while, and immediately grabbed one of his subordinates, and then said, "Since this is the case, I will let you know how powerful my strength is. After the strength is improved, the body swapping ability has improved a lot." Oh. After he finished speaking, he directly stimulated his ability, and then saw that his subordinates turned into Ginyu AP and himself became this subordinate, and then he caught some of his subordinates. In his own hands, he turned them all into his own appearance G. More than a dozen Captain Ginyu rushed up. This is what it looks like to fight the ghost, and the ghost is indifferent, summoning his phantom, and then his own body keeps dodging, and then talking about these fake Captain Ginyu is a complete defeat, but even so, there is no way. He found that these Ginyu captains were also very powerful, and after killing them, many Ginyu captains rushed up. Their strength is similar to the body, the only difference is that these Ginyu captains do not have those special abilities, but the strength and moves are similar to Ginyu captains. Therefore, in this case, the Soon Ghost can only be passively beaten. He is unhappy, and then he gritted his teeth and inspired his strength. "Let me go," the ghost roared loudly, and then looked at the situation here coldly, and saw that the other fake Ginyu captains were all shaken, and everyone was shocked. "Yes, I saw that the ghost has turned into another form. This form is taller, and it is also the image of the god of death, which makes people feel dead. The scythe in his hand is very powerful, at least swinging the scythe can kill Captain Ginyu, who is an imposter. Harvested their souls, absorbed them into the sickle, and made the sickle glow with dark red light." The ghost looked at Captain Ginyu, and then said, "I won't let you go. I will let you know that even if you are the most powerful person in this world, I will let you die directly in this place." After the ghost finished speaking, he rushed up. Those fake Captain Ginyu who wanted to come up and block were all killed by the sickle, and then went back with a knife, but at this time, Captain Ginyu still activated the time stop, but unfortunately this time, the ghost just shouted. With a single sound, this ability was destroyed. With an angry look on his face, he cut this Captain Ginyu in half with one knife, but in fact he didn't know what to say about this kind of thing. He frowned and looked at the other fake Ginyu captains, and he realized that it wasn't that simple. "Ha ha ha, don't lie, let me tell you, all my skills have been greatly improved now. Do you think it's okay to kill me with your brute force?" Captain Ginyu spoke, then smiled. "This means that the self you created can also use your own skills. Since it is you, as long as I kill you, there is no need to think too much about other things. That is to kill all the people you created." The phantom looked unhappy, then with a smile on his face, he rushed up directly, and then the Captain Ginyu who just spoke was hacked to death. But even so, he still knows that this is not the body, and one of those Ginyu who don't speak is the body, but since this is the case, it is not so simple for him to kill these Ginyu captains. "Well, since this is the case, you can try it. After all, you know it. You already have nothing to say and nothing to do." Captain Ginyu was very happy, because he knew, in this case, you can drag the other party to death. No one knows what to say, anyway, that's it, other things don't need to be said so much. The shadow naturally knows what this Captain Ginyu is waiting for. He can't keep this form all the time, but it is like this now, and other things are much simpler. He frowned. "Know that you must find a way. Chapter 1047_follow the strong. Otherwise, this Ginyu will continue to turn his subordinates into himself, and there is really no way to kill Captain Ginyu. But who knows what's going on, anyway, it's like this now, and the ghost has no way to say anything. That's it now, I don't know about other things." But Captain Ginyu was very proud and said directly, "Ha ha ha, are you stupid? Let me tell you, I am the most powerful in this world. People, you will not kill me, I am the most powerful and invincible." Quote. As soon as he finished speaking, the ghost was a little helpless in his heart. He didn't think that the strength of this Captain Ginyu would be so annoying. In fact, he really wasn't afraid that he couldn't win, but he simply didn't want to fight with him. It is a difficult person to fight against, but now there is no way out, so he has already planned to take out all his strength. If not, it is estimated that it will be endless. Since this is the case, then you can take this trick for me, swallow the sky, and open it for me. The ghost roared, then opened his hands, and his whole body entered the darkness, and the sky also started to get dark, as if something was covering the sky. And some cracks began to appear on the ground. Not only the cracks appeared on the ground, but also there were some fluctuations in many spaces. This time, the ghost is planning to use his own strength, so even in the space of this Dragon Ball, there are still some unbearable appearances. But it doesn't matter anymore. Anyway, the ghost has planned to use his most powerful moves to solve this Captain Ginyu. Captain Ginyu didn't expect this kind of move to be so terrifying, so he didn't know what to say, but it's like this right now. A lot of fake Captain Ginyu started to explode and die, and they did so for no reason. Many people were shocked, and they didn't know what was going on. Asshole, you bastard, I will never die, I can't die, because I am a powerful person, I am the most powerful person in the world. Captain Ginyu seemed crazy the same, and then began to gather all the fake Captain Ginyu in front of him. Then let his body become very strong, his height began to rise, and the whole person began to grow bigger. It seems that he is going to turn into a giant, but in fact they know that this kind of thing is impossible, but even so, this Captain Ginyu should be exploded to death. Why does such a thing happen? So that he did not understand. Chuo Kai. But even if this is the case, they don't know it anymore, but no matter what, after seeing this phenomenon, other people have already started to flee outside, because they know that this may be a kind of indiscriminate, so if you continue in this place, you may hurt innocent people. The battle between Sun Wukong and Frieza has already left Namek, but came to the outer space. The two fought constantly in this kind of place, and then they got some very powerful things. But no matter what, the Battle of Namek below is what everyone is very concerned about, because this kind of thing simply doesn't know what to say. My God, how powerful are the two of them? Why can they cause such a battle, like the end of the world? I just don't know what to say. Sabo looked shocked, and Dodoria nodded and said, I know this too, but I don't know if Captain Ginyu will die in this kind of battle. Definitely not, but don't forget, he made a wish in front of Shenlong. He wants to become the most powerful person in this world, so no one in this world can kill him, but whatever it is, that's what it is now. Sabo said confidently. Seeing Sabo's expression, Dodoria asked in shock, have you thrown your whole heart into Captain Ginyu? Otherwise, you have to know that this kind of thing is very powerful now. No matter what, the person we are going to rely on is the most powerful person, and now Captain Ginyu seems to be stronger than Frieza, so that's it right now. Even if we take refuge in Captain Ginyu, there is no problem. Sabo said indifferently. Ellipsis. Winds Extreme, Dream of Love, 773,943,984. The Extreme Wind, Wanwa Mirror, 874,542,149. He has his own purpose, that is, his boss must be the strongest person. Now that Captain Ginyu is stronger than Frieza, of course he will follow him wholeheartedly. With Captain Ginyu by his side, what is there to say about this kind of thing? But no matter what, it's time to watch the battle here. If it's true, Captain Ginyu is still alive in this battle, then they would not suffer any loss even if they took refuge, but if Captain Ginyu died in this battle, I don't know what to say. Anyway, that's the way it is now, and everyone else has nothing to say. Well, since that's the case, I can feel at ease. Dodoria said directly. At this time, on the other side, Captain Ginyu and the Ghost are both supporting, and soon, the entire planet begins to crack, and it becomes a lot of fast, but the war between the two is still undecided. Yes, Captain Ginyu gritted his teeth with anger on his face. Boom. In the end, Namek exploded directly. The entire planet exploded during the battle between the two, and everyone else was shocked when they saw it. They didn't expect that the battle between the two would actually destroy a planet, and the battle between the two was not decided, that is to say, they would continue to fight. But at this time, everyone was shocked, because at this time the ghosts had already changed into the form they were in the beginning, and Captain Ginyu didn't seem to have a very good image. One hand is broken, the whole body is cracked, and there is blood all over. Ha ha ha, you still didn't kill me in the end, so now, it's my turn to kill you. As I said, I will never lose to you. Captain Ginyu was very happy said, and then with a smile on his face, he walked up directly. Chapter 1048-Future Person. At this time, the ghost has no strength, and he didn't think of it. There is no way to kill Captain Ginyu. This is already his most powerful move, even if he wants to destroy the entire planet, there is no problem. But it was such a move that even made Captain Ginyu stay, or even better than his own state. Sure enough, his strength still needs to work hard, at least to let himself know, he doesn't know if he has no chance now. After all, even if you die in this world, you are dead, completely dead, so no matter what it is like this now. Captain Ginyu was already in front of him, with an arrogant expression on his face, and then he laughed and said, even so, I have no regrets, thank you. After finishing speaking, Captain Ginyu took action, but at this moment, a whirlpool appeared, directly taking the ghost away, and on the other side, the people who had been waiting all had smiles on their faces. I finally found it. I thought they were going somewhere. Since they didn't go somewhere, it would be easy. Anyway, that's how it is now. A man in a white coat smiled. He had two very conspicuous fangs. This is a vampire. There is also a very powerful person, with blue veins already exposed on his forehead. He said, last time there was no way to kill them, this time I will definitely not let them go. A man with a long knife shrugged. There were 3 scars on his face. He licked his lips and said, blood, the blood I long for has not appeared for a long time. It seems that this time there is no grace kicked. After finishing speaking, the 3 people appeared directly above the Namek star. At this time, the Namek star was already broken, and everyone was shocked. And just after the 3 of them appeared, another person appeared. This person was wrapped in black cloth, which seemed very mysterious, but in fact, he was also in the same group with these 3 people. People don't know what to say. After they appeared, a huge crack appeared in a space, and a person slowly walked out of it. This man had a smile on his face, and then he was holding a spaceship in one hand. The inside of this man's spaceship was made of black shadows. I didn't expect it to be so lively, since that's the case that just happens to be something that needs to be solved. Now let's solve it. After the person finished speaking, C looked at a space in the distance, and then a smile said, I've been looking for you for a long time. If this is the case, then I know what is going on with you, but no matter what it is, I will let you know that I see you. After he finished speaking, there was a smile on his face, and then a hand stretched out, as if to grab something. A very large crack appeared directly in Qin Yang's space. After waiting for a while, there was a smile on his face, because in the crack, he finally saw the person he wanted to see. Qin Yang walked out slowly, and he took one step to come to Itachi and the others, and then a smile on his face. I really didn't expect that this day is finally here. I thought it was going to a little time. If I give you a little more time, it is estimated that I can't kill you. Your growth rate is too fast. I have to admit that. This person haha Isho. Yeah, so is it scaring you? Qin Yang asked with a smile. I'm not afraid of this. After all, no matter how fast your progress is, in this world, the mysterious energy you can get is limited, so no matter how you improve, you will not be my opponent. The man had a smile on his face. So what I want to say is, I should call you Black Shadow, right? Qin Yang said directly with a smile on his face. He never thought that the appearance of this person is the appearance of the shadow, but no matter what it is, he will not believe it, because the shadow killed himself, and then killed his own soul. On the body of a person from this world. Slug, this person, has a relationship with the shadow. And Qin Yang also thought about what was going on, and he also knew who the people in this world were. The shadow of the future, this is the shadow of the future, the shadow of the future has come to this place. But he never thought that this black shadow actually killed himself, but he has figured this out now. That is, the future black shadow is already the cause and effect relationship between him and the current black shadow it was cut off. Only this reason could be the reason why he trapped the shadow in this place. Since this is the case, then I also know what you want to do. In these places, kill all the traversers. In this case, you are free, and you don't need to continue to taste this causal relationship. Qin Yang said directly. You are really smart. You deserve to be that powerful person, Qin Yang. I know that you will be very powerful in the future, but unfortunately, you are not the current you, so I will kill you today. Sombra said directly with a smile. Since this is the case, then you can try it. If you are lucky this time, please go back and tell the future me. Just wait, I will go up and kill him, because I am the righteous master. I am the one who should be at the top, and he is just a shadow of me. Qin Yang said indifferently. You still can't do this kind of thing, because it's impossible for you to kill your future self. He Ying smiled. After cutting off the cause and effect, he is not me. Do you understand? So he should not have all of my things. I will prove it. The most important thing now should be to kill you. Qin Yang said with a smile. It depends on your own ability. If you really have the ability to kill me, then come on. I will let you know how much you are sitting in the sky. He Ying laughed directly, said. At this time, Madara and the others saw the person who had fought against them. Chapter 1049 Battle that affects the galaxy. They were all full of anger, because it was these people who injured themselves. Aizen looked at the man wrapped in black cloth. The last time he defeated him was this man. Although he didn't know why, he found that this man's strength was very powerful, and his moves were also very strange. Yes, he has basically never seen this person's moves. So if he fights again, he still has to be careful, because he knows that if he is not careful, he will not even be able to do his own thing. Anyway, no matter what, it's like this now, other things are much simpler. He looked at Qin Yang, and then said, then I'll take the shot first. I really want to know, what is the strength of that person? What? He was able to imitate my moves, and he was still able to call at the same time. After Aizen finished speaking, he just pulled out his weapon. The effect of Jinghua Shuiyu took effect directly, and his people also came to this black cloth man. The black cloth man looked indifferent, and then backed away, but the others did not move, and did not disturb the black cloth man's battle, because they knew that the black cloth man did not like others to disturb his battle. But it doesn't matter anymore, because their opponent is in front. Madara saw the strong man and went straight up, while the others searched for their opponents and continued to charge up. The shadow squinted his eyes, because he knew that his own injuries had already healed. So he rushed up and found the man in the white coat, because what he knew was that this man killed Juya. His relationship with Juya wasn't very good, but he was a companion anyway, so he wanted to avenge his companion. Everyone doesn't know what to say, but that's how it is now, and other things are much simpler, so I don't know what to say now, but that's how it is now, other things are even more so, whatever it is now. The last Itachi was facing the scarred man with the knife, and his subordinates were already fighting. Qin Yang knew that his battle had also begun. With a wave of his hand, the exploded Namek was restored, and he looked at the shadow and smashed the Namek. The black shadow threw himself out of the spaceship, and then appeared in front of Qin Yang, VV Isho, and slapped him out. With countless space cracks, to this kind of strength, every time their battles are a disaster for the entire galaxy, because their battles are very powerful. At least Sabo and the others saw this kind of battle, and they were affected without even screaming, and then their bodies were divided by space debris, and they died on the spot. Captain Ginyu was seriously injured at this time. After seeing this situation, he was already stunned. He knew what his strength was, but when the two were fighting against each other, they were able to achieve this kind of destructive power. You know, even he can't do it. What he calls the most powerful person in this world is just a joke, because there are so many people who can defeat him. Not only the ghost can tie him, and the people like Banweasel, it can also be comparable to his strength. He couldn't believe it in his heart. What about the most powerful person in this world? But now after seeing these people fighting, he knows that he is definitely not the most powerful person in this world, because he absolutely cannot do that kind of fighting. Using the planet as a weapon, how could such a thing happen? This is a planet. Boom. Cracks appeared in countless spaces, debris appeared, and a huge suction force began to suck these planets in. Those creatures in the planet were even sucked into the space cracks without any means. As for the consequences of sucking in, they don't know either. But all they know is that everything in a black hole will be decomposed, so it is possible that after sucking those planets in, it will be decomposed directly. This kind of thing is very normal. They were shocked and hurried to find a place to hide, but no one knew what happened. But now it is like this. They have no way to escape, so it was able to struggle hopelessly and was directly absorbed by the space-time debris. So I don't know what to do. I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect it. You are more powerful than I thought, and you even broke through to 8 stars, which should be considered as something I didn't expect, but even so, you think you can win. You have to know, I have stayed in the 8th star for a long time, so in terms of battle experience, I am much stronger than you. Sombra said unhappily. For Qin Yang's sudden breakthrough to 8th star, he was far from expecting, and according to what Qin Yang said in the future, in the world of Dragon Ball, Qin Yang's strength is 7 star, only if he enters other in one of the worlds, there are only 8 stars. But now this kind of thing has exceeded his expectations, but even so, he doesn't think he will lose to Qin Yang, because he has stayed in this 8th star for a long time. What should he do about the 8th star to use their own strength or more understanding? He grabbed it at will, and then gathered the space debris into a long sword and stabbed Qin Yang. He felt that Qin Yang had no way to stop it. After all, he himself might not be able to stop this kind of thing. But at this time, Qin Yang also stretched out his hand and grabbed into the void. A shield appeared, and the long sword fell on the shield, which turned out to be just a circle of ripples. He Ying was suddenly shocked. He didn't know why Qin Yang would do such a move. After all, grabbing the fragments of the void was something he had learned for a long time. But Qin Yang has only just entered the 8th star level. Why? Actually, this kind of thing still depends on talent. You may not know. I have a deep understanding of these things, and it's still about the void. This kind of thing is even more true. After I entered the 6th star, I vaguely groped for something. Qin Yang explained directly. HMPH, do you think you can fight me stably like this? I won't let you do what you want, just wait for me, and I'll let you know what is the most powerful. Hai Ying said loudly. Chapter 1050-Battle Above the Void. The black shadow continued to lift the long sword, then continued to gather, and then expanded the long sword countless times, and fell with one sword. Countless planets were cut in half by this sword and turned into nebulae, and Qin Yang seemed to have no way to stop this sword. Those who are still alive are supporting them. When they see this sword, they all open their mouths. They are able to stir the whole galaxy. How powerful is this to be able to do this? Matter. Even Sun Wukong and Frieza were shocked. They simply forgot about their battle, because the battle here had already affected them. Wherever it falls, it is a very terrifying thing. If it falls on a planet, it can directly blast the planet, and then continue to fall in the original direction. But no matter what, he wants to solve this kind of thing well. A shard actually started flying towards this side. Frieza was about to burst open, but he knew how powerful this shard was, so he hurriedly dodged, and Sun Wukong naturally did the same. They knew, if the shards fell on their planet, it would definitely be doomed. They have to rush to another planet. Of course Frieza is very simple, but Sun Wukong does not. He is not good at moving, especially between planets, so he directly puts his the second form was untied, and then it rose into the sky. He has no way to continue to hide his strength, so hiding his strength is absolutely impossible, so now I don't know what to do. Anyway, this is the case now, and no one knows what to do with other things. Ha ha ha, Sun Wukong, I didn't expect you to show your trump card so quickly. Then I know how to kill you. I guess if there is no such thing, your second the form is meant to be used against me, which is a pity. Frieza laughed. So what? Do you think I can't kill you if I expose my cards? It's really naive, but no matter what, you're going to be finished, because I'll kill you. I will use my strongest strength to kill you. Sun Wukong did not give in at all. Frieza and Sun Wukong came to another planet. These planets are uninhabited, so they can fight to their heart's content on it. The two saw that there was no danger here, and they continued to fight together. At this time, in another very distant void, Qinyang and Heiying were floating in the void, and at this time, there was also a scar on Qinyang's body, which was caused by the sword just now. Although he was injured, in fact, many people thought it was incredible. They thought that under such circumstances, Qinyang would definitely die, but Qinyang only suffered a little injury. Irrelevant. Sure enough, seeing the injury on Qinyang's body, this kind of thing was quickly settled, but I don't know what to say, so I don't know what to do now. Hey, even if you can heal your own injury, it's useless, because you are not my opponent at all, so you can still enjoy this kind of thing slowly and enjoy the taste of death. Face smile. Don't be too conceited. Do you think you can achieve me in this way? I tell you, I will never fail, because my goal is great. Unlike you, you just want to kill your own cause and effect death, but I want to kill the future me, because I know that there is only one me in this world, and the others want to cut off the karma with me, or the future that has cut off the karma. Definitely not me, but my opponent. Quote. Qinyang said very unhappily, but he just suffered a little damage, but he thought he was able to defeat himself, knowing that his whole cards had not been released. His understanding of this space is not only like this, he can also surprise this person. Even the move to send the shadow back to the west has not been used. This person thinks that he can win. It's just ridiculous. But no matter what, now the shadow has swelled, and he began to gather a larger sword, and he slashed at Qinyang. With a smile on his face, Qinyang said, "Do you think I'll be hit by the same move? And you don't even think about how powerful my comprehension is." After speaking, a larger shield was directly sent out, and it was very easy to resist the long sword of the shadow. And in the first time, he rushed up directly, and then flew to the side of the shadow for the first time. Li Huo said indifferently, "I think you still don't understand, what is my strength? Do you think that using the same moves all the time can make me hit?" After he finished speaking, he landed with a punch. His punch looked light and fluttering, while the shadow was very disdainful and said, "What's the matter? You are already out of strength, aren't you? Since that's the case, just die with me." After he finished speaking, he went straight to hold Qinyang's fist, but soon he was empty, and then found that his stomach was very painful. He was shocked, and then looked at the Qinyang on the side, and then said tremblingly, Space refraction. Yes, you guessed right, it's the refraction of space. I've said it before. My understanding of this space is not that simple. There may be some things that you haven't understood. I have already realized them, and do you know there is a move called summoning? Qinyang asked with a smile on his face, and after saying this person was shocked. He knew that this kind of thing was absolutely impossible. Because the monsters summoned in this space are terrifying guys, even he may not be able to fight. But he didn't believe it. He looked at Qinyang, and said loudly, "I don't believe it. I absolutely don't believe that you still use space summoning. This kind of thing, even people stronger than me or you can't learn. How can you understand this kind of thing when you are 8-star? Chapter 1041-Space Call. Heiying is already going crazy. He knows that if Qinyang has really mastered the summoning technique, then he does not need to fight at this station, because he knows that it is useless. The strength of summoning beasts is definitely stronger than him, because those are all monsters that devour time and space for a living. In the future world, those monsters are very powerful. Basically, people like them are teamed up. Brushed. So I said, your comprehension is still not enough. If it is enough, you don't need to believe it, and I really want to know who is the frog in the well. Is it you? Qin asked with a smile on his face. And Sombra didn't dare to say anything, but later he also showed a smile. He quickly stepped back, healed his injury, and at the same time, Hey Isho, said, impossible, you must be lying. You must be lying to me, it is absolutely impossible for you to be able to use space summoning. Quote. So I have to prove myself now, but what I said at the beginning is still useful. If you are lucky enough to escape, I think you can help me convey it. After speaking, he directly punched arrived in the void, and then spread out the 5 fingers, the first time this kind of thing was done. But no matter what, that's the way it is now. Seeing that Qin has already stretched out a hand into the space, he is immediately very scared in his heart. Take my blood as a contract, summon the king of this space, and show your figure in this low space. Qin said indifferently, and then looked at the shadow. He Ying's eyes widened. He had never been so panicked. When he killed himself, he even had a playful look in his eyes. But now, he can't show it anymore, because the feeling this person gives him is that it is very terrifying. Sure enough, those who stand at the top are not easy to deal with in the early stage. Even if they are in the 8th star staying longer than them, there is still no way to easily defeat them. It's not like in his own world, where the 8th star completely abuses the 7th star, and the peak of the 8th star is still able to completely abuse the people who have just entered the 8th star. But in this place, he didn't feel that way at all. Boom! More space fragments were scattered directly, and what was even more terrifying was that the void was like a mirror. It burst open, and 1 foot slowly stretched out. This mirror is tens of thousands of kilometers high and 6,000 to 7,000 kilometers wide. After the mirror burst open, he stretched out a hand from the darkness inside. This monster was red all over, and it had hair on it. It was a human-shaped monster. He was barefoot, as if he was about to open the mirror and come out quickly. Giant, this is the monster I summoned. If you think you can defeat him, then we will continue to fight, but I don't think you can do anything. Qin said with a smile. And these words directly made them all shocked, and they didn't know what to say. That's how it is now. The shadow is going to turn around and leave, but he knows that this is a space-time summoned beast. It was useless to go anywhere, so he directly turned into a shadow, ready to escape from this space and return to his own world, but at this time, half of the giant's body had appeared in this world. He looks like an orc, and the barbed fangs on his mouth make everyone feel terrified. And his eyes were still red. After he appeared, the first thing he saw was the dark shadow who was about to escape, so he drank and flicked his fingers at will, and saw that the black fog was dispersing, and it is to be sucked into another dimension. It makes people look like they don't know what to say. Anyway, it's like this now. Everyone doesn't know what to say. Why does such a terrifying existence appear? Even King Quan appeared in this place. He looked at the environment in front of him with a shocked expression, and then frowned when he saw Captain Ginyu. Did you make a wish with the dragon here? King Quan asked. Ha ha ha, who are you, dare to ask me these things? You must know that I am the most powerful person in this world. After finishing speaking, he was going to kill this sudden person, but King Quan didn't give him a chance, and said directly, since this is the case, then I still want to deprive you of your ability. After he finished speaking, he stretched out a hand, and then when Captain Ginyu was about to make his move, he directly deprived Captain Ginyu of those invincible abilities that were originally captured by Captain Ginyu. Those people, after getting their own bodies, are all grateful. But this is useless at all, because at this moment, a piece of debris fell directly on the planet, and before they had time to rejoice, it just exploded. King Quan and the seriously injured Captain Ginyu came to another place. Captain Ginyu just looked at his hands, and then looked at King Quan with a shocked expression. You, who are you? Captain Ginyu asked quickly. Do I need to say such a thing? I am King Quan, and King Quan is me. King Quan said indifferently. You are King Quan, but King Quan has no fixed place. He wanders everywhere, and the dragon sees its head but not its tail. You tell me that you are King Quan. Don't joke, and even if you are King Quan, you will definitely not know it. It's my opponent, because I'm the most powerful person in this world. Captain Ginyu exclaimed. Nothing is impossible. I know about Shenlong, but he can only help you within his ability, not this kind of thing. King Quan said indifferently. What do you mean by that? Also, hurry up and return my abilities to me. Captain Ginyu roared in horror. This kind of thing is impossible, because I have already gone too much. I won't give it back to you, and your character is not suitable for being the strongest person in the world, so you should give up, no matter what. I don't want to kill anyone, so forget it, just leave this place by yourself. King Quan shook his head and said. And Captain Ginyu didn't know what to say. No matter what, it was so terrifying right now, he couldn't see through the strength of this person.